kicks.
There we go.
We are live. Welcome, everybody. Today's Conscious Coaching Insights. And today I'm going to be speaking with a very special guest, Naetha. Welcome, lovely.
Hey, how are you? It's so good to be here.
Yeah. Remind me of whereabouts in the world you are.
Right now, I am just south of Leeds in England, and it's pretty darn cold.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And what phase of lockdown are you?
We're in full lockdown 2.0, and because we have my mom living with us, we've probably been pretty much like this for months.
Wow.
Yeah.
What intense then.
Yeah, speaking of consciousness, yeah, you've been pretty conscious of your surroundings around here.
I bet.
Yeah.
So I think you have a unique position because I know you. I obviously know you really well because we've worked together in the past. And you come from this unique space that you have experienced, lived and breathed a situation within the family. And now you are a recovery coach, and also your daughter is also involved in your business as well. So tell me a little bit about your journey.
Oh my gosh. So it all started to kick off and accelerate about the time I was working with you. Kind of decided I'm going to get this business started. Here I go. And then in the middle of it, my daughter was suffering from substance misuse issues. Her son was living with my mom. My mom fell and broke both of her arms. And we had that realization that we had to change something. So I started getting support from mutual aid groups for families affected by it. And then at the same time, somebody recommended I go take a course to learn more about recovery coaching. And just all these worlds collided where I was kind of had your support to pivot and challenge. I was being exposed to a completely different way of handling the situation. And I'd previously been a licensed chemical dependency counselor like decades ago. So it just was like where the heart, the head, it all met at one time. And even though it was such a sad and devastating time, now I can reflect on it and something so good's coming out of it. So so we learned about recovery coaching. We were exposed to it. We had it in our lives because my daughter's treatment. We saw the recovery communities working. And then when we came to England and she came to stay with us, she just couldn't find anything. And we as a family couldn't find anything. Or it was a massive waiting list, or you had to go through this, and this. And so over a period of kind of adjusting and everybody deciding we were going to live together, because in the middle of all of this, I decided that, it didn't decide, it just happened. We ended up with 4 generations living under one roof, 78 to 7, absolute controlled chaos, filled with love, lots of laughter, and a bit of arguing, and along with just, daughter new in recovery, different country, mom, the dog, everybody arrives. But it's just been good. All of that as a result of that, we are a family in recovery, We're all recovering from what was going on. We've all adjusted. It takes a village to raise a child. My grandson is just blossoming now. And so then my daughter started to volunteer in the field. And so she's just been kind of helping me out because she brings a very different perspective to it. So during COVID, we hadn't been able to get the training because you always had to fly to do it in person. So one of the blessings of COVID was we were able to get all that done online. So we just started delivering our first Recovery Coach Academy kind of certified training. And we're in the middle of it right now. And it's all exciting. Lots of new conversations. And it hasn't been easy, and it's taken a long time. And it feels like a crazy roller coaster that is scary, and I want to jump off sometimes, but so exhilarating. I want to see the ride through. So, It's just really interesting.
You look so great together. I see the photos that I've posted, and I remember when we were working together, what was going on, and the difference between back then and now is just, they're two totally different worlds.
I can actually remember. So on February the 15th, it'll be 3 years ago this February coming, I sent you the photograph saying, I can't meet you today. My daughter has just been beaten up.
Yep.
This is what I'm dealing with. And so it was literally, it's been what, 2 years and 8 months, 9 months then. Yeah. And we have come so far. And looking back on it now, I go, wow. And then, but during that time, there was some pretty crap days. I don't know if I can swear. I was going to say another word then. But yeah, there were some pretty bad days. But all of that's given us individual resilience, family resilience, you know. And I guess kind of the thing for me is people need to see hope. And so if you can see that somebody else is doing it, a family surviving, you know, then you might just give somebody hope that they can find their way through all this craziness, you know.
Hope is incredibly powerful. It's an incredibly powerful motivator. And we can see what happens when people lose hope. I mean, it's really, really, it's quite depressing. It's quite a testament to all of you, and especially your daughter, because she was in the thick of it, going through it. But it's a testimony to all of you that you've all been through it, come out the other side of it, and are now empowering other people to see that you can have a future, even though you have been an addict. You can recover. It's an ongoing process. It's a journey.
Yeah.
But you can. There is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel.
You know, I see so many people and they don't talk about it. You know, they're scared to. What if the kids find out? And it's quite funny now because I mean, in our house, I mean, even my grandson, you know, when things are a bit crazy, he'll kind of go, I think someone needs to go to a meeting, you know, and he knows that that's kind of like a good coping skill to bring things back, you know. And I had this, somebody we know, Sue Kerr, gave me this lovely phrase. And it was, that's less than ideal. And for like the first 6 months my daughter was living with us, just having that tool diffused so many situations, because every time she'd say, you know, this sucks, I'd just go, that's less than ideal. And I didn't ignore her, I acknowledged her, but I just didn't feed in. And looking back on it, I just think, oh, the conversations we had, you know, the little tools that helped us survive. But it's just, getting to hear from there has been tough, but rewarding in the hindsight.
Yeah, for sure. If it's okay, with your permission, I would, so say no. If you don't want to explore this, or we get into something you don't want to continue with it, just go no, because the world is watching, of course. And that is when we first started working together. So we came together to create your signature program.
Yeah.
And I remember when we were first working together, you came with the idea that you wanted to do something like websites. It was something to do with blogs, websites, social media. And it was really interesting after spending time with you and learning about you and what your passion is and what motivates you and what drives you, is that there was this other story going on at the same time, which was more powerful than, no disrespect to people who do websites, but that was actually, I'm not going to say more sellable, but it was more in line with who you are. It was more in line with the difference and the impact you could make in the world. But I remember us having this conversation, and you were really sort of like, no, not sure. Oh, hang on a minute. And we really had to sort of explore all the limiting beliefs and what was playing out beyond that.
Yeah.
And I remember when you got your first client, you were so excited. You were just like, oh my God.
It happened. Yeah. It was, I guess it was really, I mean, it was such an interesting time. And because my husband and I had both had to quit our jobs and just jump in and try to deal with everything with the family, we ended up just instantly, I think, out of crisis thinking we had to do something together. And then somebody gave us an opportunity doing something together, and that just sort of validated it without really doing the work or being something we thought about. And then at the same time, kind of having these discussions around my daughter and what was going on with us as a family was really hard. And then I got educated, basically, and I learned how much language matters. And I learned that my daughter wasn't a drug addict. She was a young lady who had a substance misuse disorder, was in a domestic violent relationship, and needed help. That was the language change, and then also I got educated about, I think where I got stuck was, if I didn't tell 100% of my story, then I wasn't being authentic or credible, or I was keeping a secret. And then I realized and got educated, actually, I only need to share the 10% that's relevant, that can help, and do that 100% authentically. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I remember the conversation.
Yeah. And I just think, I guess even now people question, it is that message, and that message you tell yourself, that there's a difference between, in recovery, I can choose to keep myself and my family safe, which means I don't have to share everything about what's happened. Let me share the part that might help you or give you my experience, my strength, my hope. But that's it. And I can do that with 100% vulnerability, authenticity, and leave the other 80% to the side.
Exactly. And everything needs to be in context. And I always say that you've got to be really careful when you're working this way, because you don't want to leave someone hanging. So it's always a case of how you protect yourself is how you protect other people in your space. And I think when people see that actually they need to protect themselves and they need to protect the other people in their space, they can become more mindful about actually what's in context, what can I share that's really going to help, but also at the same time, I'm really happy to share. And I feel safe.
I deliver some recovery messaging training, and part of that is just getting people to think about, what am I 100%, if everything on this list went viral, hit the BBC News, am I 100% comfortable with that being shared? And that's their safe list. If you want to start sharing part of your life, part of your experience, part of your story, there's your safe list. You're 100% okay if everybody in the world sees that. And then there's this, well, I'm okay to share this with safe friends or people that I know, who I trust their opinion to introduce me to somebody. And that's your kind of let me assess it category. And then there's that list where part of this, I just don't want to share ever. It doesn't make me feel good. It probably won't make you feel good. It's not going to benefit anybody. There. And then you just look at it, is it going to be an asset to somebody? And could it potentially cause harm to somebody I care about?
I love that. That's a real beautiful example of a conscious way to work with your clients.
Yeah. It's, because so many people, even, no matter what you've been through, so no matter what you're recovering from, it might be you're recovering from a divorce and you might want to help other people. As long as you're aware that this is my safe list, this is what about that divorce, this is the part I'm willing to talk about. And it might be that your children are on the list that I am not ever going to talk about. but it doesn't devalue what you can say about that process of divorce.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a aware, conscious thinking about the impact of your words. And in today's world, we have to think about that. Our words are legacies now. They're pretty much out there, and people are going to find them great grandkids. So it's being conscious about, and I'm not perfect. I screw up sometimes. I stick my foot in my mouth, but live and learn and move forward. And if I did it with a good heart and I didn't do it to harm anybody, then it's okay. Park it and move on and be nice to myself.
Yeah, well, you're only human. I mean, you can't not make mistakes. That's just as it is. As you said, as long as it's not with malicious intent, then people will forgive you anyway. I mean, I've done lots of boo-boos. I did something recently, and people forgive you if they know that you are generally coming from not a safe space, a caring space, not knowing any better, genuinely.
Yeah.
Then people are very forgiving.
Yeah. I think even in this time of COVID, and we've all had to adapt our businesses, it's kind of interesting that we learn new tech, and we are making mistakes probably every day, if not, every other day, if not every day. And it is just about forgiving yourself too, because we've got to learn somehow. And if the worst thing I do is send out an email with the wrong date on it, I can't let that stop me doing what I want to do. Whereas I probably think at a point a while back it would have. But it's just a tech mistake. We're having a pandemic. That's the bigger picture. Let me just send my email with the wrong date. It's okay.
I've done loads of things, and every now and again it will really beat someone. I put something the other way around. I did a real dyslexic thing. I put something before the other, basically. And actually, someone wrote back to me and they told me I'd put it the wrong way around, and I was just like, yeah, whatever. It's just like, I mean, I feel sorry for someone who's been it's irritated that much that they felt that they've had to write an email and say something.
I got an email that said, oh, I've gone all echoey, let me move. I got an email that said I'd used the word whoa incorrectly. And it's kind of like, my daughter and I have lived in Texas for a long time. So kind of whoa, y'all, it just sort of pops out sometimes, mowing down. Biscuits and gravy. Some of these things just accidentally happen, even though we try to be consciously, culturally aware. Thank you for pointing out that I used the whoa incorrectly. Have a nice day, y'all.
It does make me giggle. It does make me giggle. So I know you've had the whole family together, and you touched on very gently that you've had to be more conscious around the family than you normally would be, because you'd normally like coming and going. You wouldn't be all together in one house for a month at a time. Mostly probably protecting your mum, I would have thought. What sort of things that have you caught yourself thinking, right, hang on a minute, I need to address that?
Oh my gosh, so many. It's been so interesting. Probably prior to all of this, I just automatically got thrown into that bucket most of the time. Extrovert, happy, chipper, Naetha. And yes, that was me, but I think I've become quite a bit more introvert through all of this. I've realized that I like that time to reflect and read, and also probably when we were all coming and going, there was probably an hour or two other than sleeping time where everybody was home at the same time, up, around, doing something. Oh my gosh, that was culture shock. It was like people stepping on people. No. So I just started, literally I still now, and this is probably 6 months on, I set my alarm for between 5 and 5:30 in the morning. My grandson has a little jungle gym in the backyard that if you sit on a certain angle, it's like a desk and a chair. So I sit out there in the morning with my cup of coffee, and I might do some bits for work. I might just read a trashy magazine. I might read something positive. I might read something for the training I'm about to deliver. But I've just got to take that time where I can be awake and there still be silence. Because there was no point before. I just became consciously aware there was never a waking time of my day when there was silence.
Right.
And it's been, that was huge. Just, yeah. And just that actually being conscious that it's okay to be brave and try new things, because probably 90% of the world is having to try new things right now. And I think just that knowledge that everybody in the world's in the same situation at a different varying level. So just got to get out there and do it. And you either become stagnant and you're just stuck here in lockdown, or you make the best of it. And so just consciously trying to make the best of the situation you are in is just, it's been, and that only came, I think, from taking that time to be more introverted, to consciously take that time in the morning to think, it's okay to do this, right. And I had to tell myself that probably the same thing for about 47 mornings before it kicked in. But, at least that's the situation. I had those 47 mornings this time, and then just, I guess also the big difference was my daughter, 2.5 years into her recovery journey. And she just went like, Mom, you have got to do this, And she said something really funny. She was like, before you go look for a job or think of something else, just give me 30 days. And I'm thinking, what the hell are you doing? Trying to coach me?
Yep. Have a taste of your own medicine.
Yeah, but she was like, and I guess it's that I had a few people tell me that, what are you doing kind of trying to make money off people's misfortune? And it hit me. And I had one guy tell me, I tell another guy we worked that just somebody needed to put me back in my box. And those words hurt. And that carried with me. And so when my daughter said, just give me 30 days, in that 30 days, she's just started doing some social media posts for me and doing things to probably make me a bit more visible, because I just was at a point where those words hurt and they affected my visibility. Yeah. And so along she comes, Miss Hyperactivity, all in recovery, social media, off she goes on a mission. But I had to be accountable to her because she believed in me,
Yeah, and those, those
reverse. Yeah.
Yeah, those words would hurt because they are personal. I know people say just ignore it, but it triggers off a whole load of other experiences that we then react to.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But it's been interesting, it has really been interesting. And the journey through the whole thing to even now, I have stopped buying a 1-year planner for next year. I'll do just fine with a 90-day. Yeah, I'm just gonna have my little 90-day planner. 3 months ahead is just enough for me, and I've consciously made that decision because I am not going to stress myself out about what the hell is going to happen in the next year. Let me just focus on what I can do for my business, my family, over the next 3 months, and then we'll reassess.
I would have thought to some degree that level of thinking, I know it's slightly different for business, but I actually think I work on a 3-month plan on my business. I can't do any further ahead than that. Yeah. But for people in recovery, there's that element of quickness, isn't there? That element of now, at this second, this moment, that's all that matters is.
I think.
So I can imagine that.
Yeah, I think there is see, that's one of the interesting, I think there is that element of quickness that kind of happens kind of after you just start to feel good and sober. Then it's like, oh, I
Yeah.
want my life back, my job, but that. But then I also think there's that period kind of later on where kind of, you've got things together, things are going good, family are talking, got a job, and you're kind of afraid to dream bigger because you've just been in this momentum of you kind of got over that urge to, I want it quick and fast, to I'm quite content taking it one day at a time, to
Yeah.
now, how do I wow, I've kind of got this going on, it's all right, how do I add more to my life? And there's so many different phases of, because if you think about it, if somebody drank alcohol for 15 years, and then it takes them a couple of years to get recovery, a handle on recovery. So 17 years. And now
Yeah.
at 17 years, they're going, right, how do I have a date and a relationship? Yeah. Or, right, I think I want to go get a master's degree. That was 17 years ago the last time so just kind of, it's all that stuff that is good stuff that happens later on, where sometimes people just need a bit of more to life. It's not that urgency anymore. It's
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
stuck. You go from urgent to stuck.
Let's before we finish, let's just talk about the clients it is that you work with. Who is it that you serve, so people have a clear idea?
Yeah. So I guess kind of when I deal with do individual coaching, they tend to be people who are kind of in mid to long term recovery, who are ready to stop living one day at a time and start to have some dreams, some goals. It might be business, school, life, just do other things. But on the other side to it is just families and communities have to get educated. So that's the other bit to it. I just deliver recovery coach training and recovery messaging and just any education to help people build recovery capital and, change people's lives, make an impact, get rid of the stigma.
Yeah, absolutely. What would be the perfect sort of introduction for you?
Oh, an organization that's open to really stepping up their services to focus on how they can help people with recovery and in their recovery versus so much of addressing what the current problem is,
Yeah.
building relationships and peer-to-peer support. Or somebody in mid and long-term recovery who just wants to go big and try something new and just needs a personal cheerleader to cheer them on,
Yeah.
give them a bit of support. Yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Thanks,
How can
Wendy.
people find you?
Easiest thing to do is go to recoverycoachacademy.co.uk. That's
I sounded like a kettle.
That's weird, and there's no kettle on. Yeah, recoverycoachacademy.co.uk. And my daughter and I do an amazing weekly email on Sunday called A Dose of Hope. So there's your hope.
Oh,
and
awesome.
Yeah, we just fill it with all kinds of free resources and good stuff. And it was just our way to figure out how to do this online business, lock it at home. So yeah, feel free to come hang out. But thank you so much, Wendy, and you're doing amazing. I just really want to visit to Thailand to sit on a beach with you, feet in the pool, a spa day, because I'm just jealous of seeing all your spa days.
When life gets back to normal, I'm going to do a retreat.
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah. Well, I've been to Thailand about 4 times.
Yeah.
I love Thailand. Yeah, sign me up. I'm there. So on that early bird, super early bird, previous customer special discount wait list.
I've booked you in. And soon.
Yeah. And then everybody in this group can come meet us all together and make some magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love what I do. I love what you do. I mean, I love what you do. And I was so, when you work with clients and you're just like ecstatic.
Oh, yeah. It's still scary. It's still scary. And I'm still finding my feet. So,
Of course,
but
me too.
the feedback we're getting is good. If I'm not your cup of tea, that's great. There'll be somebody else that's your cup of tea. But if I can help, yeah, cool.
Yeah. All right then, lovely. Take care.
All
I will
right.
see you soon.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Enjoy the sunshine while I go put the jumper
Bye,
on.
everybody.
Bye.